Alright, so check this out. Before I get into the crow eating, Paddy and Justin Gaethje, hands down off the rip, to start off 2026 calendar year for the UFC. When it's all said and done in December 2026, later this year, we got to put Paddy and Justin Gaethje as Fight of the Year candidate for top 5 fights of the year. But hey, it's your boy DHP, man. Y'all know the rest. And this is my first official review for the 2026 calendar year for the UFC 324 review. And dog, by the way, y'all see the snow in the background. I am in the East Coast. We going through this winter storm, and thankfully, thank God, because we was expected to have some power outage sometime, you know, today or tomorrow with the snowstorm, and thankfully it didn't go out during the fights. But anyway, I gotta do some crow eating on this card already. To start the year, I gotta do some crow eating with Justin Gaethje and Gene Silva. So I'm gonna list off the winners, and then we're gonna talk about the fights. So Justin Gaethje won unanimous decision over Paddy Pimblett. By the way, I believe Justin Gaethje is the first fighter in UFC history to win the interim belt twice. Not a lot of niggas won the interim belt in the first place, because, you know, back then in my era, I'm 30 years old, but my era growing up in the with the UFC, the interim belts was like far in between. We only had interim fights for unforeseen circumstances with injuries due to the champ, like what happened to Yuri Prohaska, where he was going to be out for like more like seven months to a year type shit. Yeah, but Gaethje is from Gaethje has to, because I don't recall anybody, even Gaethje winning the belt, right? Gaethje is like the only fighter that I've seen the fight for the interim belt twice. So never mind him winning it, which he did, but never mind him winning, he's the first fighter I've seen fight in 2 interim fights. So that's pretty something that I just thought of during the fights. Suga Sean O'Malley took a 3-round decision over Song Yadong. We definitely gonna get into that too, because I was texting my boy during the fight before, you know, Bruce named out the judge's scorecard, but I'm like, this fight, Song Yadong, we definitely gonna get into it. I'm gonna just wait for it. Waldo Costa took a dominant 2nd round TKO over Delu. Natalia Silva 3-round decision over Thug Rose. Gene Silva 3-round decision over Arnold Allen, and Umar Nurmagomedov took a 3-round decision to Davison Figueiredo. Now, I will say about this card right here, before we get into the deep analysis of the fight, Paramount, the presentation of Paramount is dope. It's actually dope. Like this, there's some other things that's going on with the UFC right now that I'm still not satisfied with, and I will continue to voice my opinion on that. But with this, with Paramount got some cooking with the UFC. Like, this is gonna be, I can say this off the rip, besides all the other shit that I'm gonna voice my opinions on later down the road that I still see the bullshit with, presentation wise, Paramount is gonna do the UFC much more justice than ESPN. Because I feel like the whole time we was with ESPN, the only time I felt like it was something special, or it was like it was real dope, was with the spear with Suga Sean and Marab 1, and then obviously UFC 300. But off the rip, this card, now granted, some of the fights didn't pan out like I thought it would, and then, you know, start off the card, the prelims and the early prelims with bangers, and then as we got deep into the main card, we was getting a lot of decisions. I mean, some of the fights was still good, but based on how the card was starting to turn out, it looked like we was about to get a whole bunch of finishes. It's gonna be one of them cards like even like last year. Last year we had like half the cards last year, it was a lot of finishes on the main card, you know. But presentation wise, it off the rip, they made this shit so special. It felt like, for what it was, you may not say, now this was a good card overall and on paper, but you would say this is like a prototypical standard UFC championship pay-per-view. But just the outlook and the feel, the atmosphere, and the promos, the way Paramount presented everything with this, it made it feel much more special than what it was. Also, obviously, we coming back from a 6-week break, so I've been checking out other shit, but for the other type of fans who purely watches UFC, they haven't seen UFC in a cool minute. So this was like, it was like a mixture of both worlds, where we had like a month and a half break from the UFC, and then Paramount doing the special shit they did, and it was, you know, it was something magical. It was magical tonight. But Justin Gaethje and Paddy Pimblett, boy, and I was telling my boy this while I was watching the fight. I'm like, Paddy from the first round, and then Paddy had a good third round. He started to adjust his game plan, but this whole fight was dictated based on Justin Gaethje's pressure. And I thought, now here come the snow pliers and shit like that. And I thought it wouldn't really come down to that, but Paddy, and you can see in that first round, before, you know, Justin clipped Paddy in that first and second round, Paddy, Paddy was definitely the better technical striker in this fight, but you can tell that Paddy, he's not comfortable fighting off the back foot. And I was telling my boy, and for those that know, right, y'all know the difference between a counter puncher and an offensive fighter, right? Offensive fighter is always going to be on attack. They can strike how they want to strike. It's like, almost like, you know what, like Max Holloway. Like Max, he does his best when he's putting the pressure on you, and then he's throwing a lot of volume strikes. It's not powerful strikes, it's more volume strikes to wear you down as the fight go on, because he put on a barrage, right? When Max is on the back foot counter punching, he is not as effective, which is different from somebody like a Holly Holm. Like Holly Holm, she's a reactive counterpuncher. Or even Valentina. Valentina is definitely a good example, cause she's actually a mixture of both. Like, she can be very dangerous on the front foot going forward and going backwards. She's a very skillful counterpuncher. So depending on how your style is, she can play both sides of the coin. Paddy Pimblett is not that. He's not at that stage where he can fight off his back foot. So really, Justin Gaethje really just beat Paddy, just putting the pressure on him. And then, shout out to Paddy's heart and determination and his chin, because some of those shots, Justin Gaethje was just, and we're gonna get to it in a minute with Ilya, but Gaethje was throwing some bombs. And credit to DC, because he called this shit out as I was saying it. Y'all know that classic meme of you see something in the fight, and then as you see it, or you saying it, they say the exact same thing on commentary. It was that epiphany, or that Tiffany moment, or however you pronounce that word, where I was like, Paddy, if you really think about it, look at that fight, between the uppercuts, the level changes, and some of the and the leg kicks, and some of the body work that Paddy was doing. Paddy was technically, you know, breaking down Gaethje, but Gaethje been in these fights for years and years and years, where he's built for this, right? Paddy, this is his first time being in a fight like this, so he's not really accustomed to this. Now, he showed his toughness and his durability in this fight, yes, but as far as like a war of attrition, Justin Gaethje just built for this type of fight. And Paddy, even though Paddy was technically breaking him down, which is why, you know, when we got to the third round, that was his best round. Like, if Gaethje, and the crazy thing about it is that Max ended up sleeping Justin, but Paddy, Paddy needs some more power. And it's crazy to say that Max Holloway got some power in them hands, but the proof is in the pudding. Paddy needs some power because he gave him some flush shots, especially with them uppercuts. But yeah, this fight was really dictated on. By the way, Instagram, y'all gonna get the shortened version. It may be just all Justin and Paddy, and it might be some of Suga Sean. But YouTube, y'all definitely getting the full version. But this whole fight was just predicated on Gaethje just pushing Paddy to the back foot. And I was like, dog, if this nigga Paddy would just move, and I understand Gaethje hits like a fucking Mack truck. I mean, we listened to what Dustin said about Justin, Chandler said. We listened to Charlie Olives. I think Charlie Olives said out of anybody, Justin hits the hardest. We all know Justin hits like a Mack truck, but somebody like Justin, you gotta push him to the you gotta keep him on his back foot because he ain't a good counter puncher either. And Paddy works good when he's methodically, you know, being the aggressive. But Paddy had good moments. It's just the pressure of fighting off his back foot really got to him because he really couldn't, the shit that he wanted to do. And honestly, credit to Justin on that pressure because Paddy wanted to throw his kicks in there and he didn't have the range because Justin closed in so damn fast. He couldn't do nothing with it, right? And then, you know, his coaches, they wanted Paddy to take him down, and Paddy just kept the fight standing, which the crazy thing is Justin actually did much more grappling and wrestling more than I anticipated. Like, that was probably, and that's the crazy thing about it. Justin did more grappling and wrestling in this fight than I've seen him in a cool minute. And I've been saying all this time, I'm like, Gaethje know how to wrestle. I think I've said it on one of my videos the past couple of days. I'm like, Justin Gaethje know how to wrestle, but for some reason, he wants to be this entertainer, quote unquote entertainer type fighter where he just standing up and just throwing haymakers. And I'm like, really, Gaethje, you can still, there's still ways to be an entertaining fighter and get down the fucking wrestle. So I was confused, and I always said, Gaethje, as good as he is and as good as he can be, I felt like he never would be a championship fighter in the UFC because he has the tools, but he don't utilize it. But sure enough, he utilized it tonight. He did a lot of jiu-jitsu rolling around and shit like that, more than I've seen him in a cool minute. But it's obvious Paddy got some work to do, but at the same time, it's to me, it's a win-win for Paddy. It's a win-win for Paddy because fights like this, and it's the shit, I'm gonna piggyback what I said about Bo Nickel last year. You can really learn from fights like this moving forward. And Paddy, yeah, he's like, what, 30, 31? He's like my age type shit. But Paddy's body, as far as like mileage in the UFC, is still fairly young, so he still got some time on his hands. But oh man, it low key, it kind of reminded me, without the knockdowns, because Max didn't really get knocked down in that fight. But that fight low key reminded me of Max Holloway and Dustin Poirier 1, where Paddy, like, Max was getting something done, but Dustin, every time Dustin would throw something, it would stun Max. And that's how Paddy was in this fight. Every time, and Paddy had them uppercuts of hell and shit like that, but every time Paddy would really get his offensive goal, other than that third round, the first round, the second round, the fourth round, and the final round, the final fifth round, every time Paddy would get some offense going, Justin would throw something back, and it would just stun Paddy's, you know, whole offense, because he was just beating the fuck out of his chin, you know. But oh man, there's some things Paddy could definitely take to this fight, you know. Maybe work on his counter punching, but definitely be, he has to be. I can understand, like, from his point of view, it's a title fight, interim title fight, but it's a title fight. He's the main event. This is his first time in that atmosphere like this. He probably just got caught up in the moment and just want to just go out there on a shield type shit. But Paddy, if he would have utilized some grappling and whether or not Justin would have stopped him, that would be up to Justin. I mean, we would never know. But if Paddy would have utilized some more wrestling and grappling in this fight, you know, cause that third round, cause I feel like all the strikes that Paddy was doing in that first round and the second round, cause he was mixing it up. He wasn't just headhunting. He was leg kicking. He was doing some body work. He was mixing it up, which is why, you know, I felt like on a technical scale, Paddy was really breaking Justin down on a technical scale. But Justin is he's conditioned enough for these type of wars, and Paddy is not. So, and then on top of that, we can't ignore about the missed calls. We had, I know some niggas like the Paddy fanboys, whatever, they gonna say, you know, Justin cheated, because it was about the low blow. They missed the low blow. Then you had the eye poke. So it was 2 missed calls. And really, that eye poke really kind of fucked up the momentum. Because low key, if Paddy wasn't that durable enough, that fight would have been stopped. So I'm glad the ref didn't really stop it, because Paddy really could have got finished off of that. Because Justin was, after that eye poke, Justin just blacked out and went into complete kill mode, and he was throwing elbows and just nasty ground and pound damage. That eye poke really, the second eye poke, that second eye poke really kind of changed the momentum of the fight, because it was still going pretty decent for Paddy, but yeah, that second eye poke, that was a missed call, and that honestly, you can say it kind of changed the complexity for the rest of the fight, honestly. But regardless whether or not that happened, I still think Paddy would have lost this fight anyway, because he's shown us in this fight, and I feel like Justin, and it's crazy because I'm about to allude to it in a minute, but Paddy's shown us in this fight that he can't fight up the back foot. Like he has to be the aggressor. So hopefully he works on his counter punch in his next camp. But for Gaethje, he probably only fought this way because Paddy is inexperienced. It will be very interesting, because now it's about to be Gaethje and Ilya Topuria. So it will be very interesting to see how Justin approach Ilya, because if he fights the same way he did, if he fights Ilya the same way he did tonight, Ilya is going to run through him faster than he did Charlie Olives, because Ilya is too boxing savvy to get in some wars like that with Gaethje, especially with Charlie Olives. And I think why Ilya was so aggressive with Charlie was because he felt his power. Ilya is smarter than what you think. Like, he's already a smart, high-level IQ fighter, but he's smarter than what you think, because if he feel like you don't have the power to, you can probably graze him, but if you don't got the power to put him out completely, that's when he gets really aggressive. As you saw with Max Holloway, Volk. Now the thing about Ilya is he can get got, because we seen it with Volk, and we even seen it with Max, and even Charlie Olives to a degree. But if he sense that you ain't got that power, that's when he gets real aggressive. So it'll be interesting to see how Justin Gaethje approaches Ilya. But regardless, shout out to Justin Gaethje. He proved a lot of us wrong. Other than the real Justin Gaethje fans, niggas like me who, I still give him respect. Don't get it fucked up. I've been watching Justin Gaethje for a long time, even before the UFC, when he was in the World Series of Fighting. But I did feel like the tide was turning with the changing of the guard, and Paddy, the way his upward progression was going. I feel like it was a passing of the torch moment. But shout out to Gaethje. Yeah, 2-time interim champ. Now, before this shit cut off for Instagram, right? The Suga Show! Sean O'Malley is back. But hey, Sean O'Malley and Song Yadong. This was a good technical fight. Now, Song Yadong, he should have just kept grappling. He should have just kept grappling, and that's the formula to beat Sean. Obviously, Merab showed everybody that's the formula to beat Sean, is just to grapple him. Like, if you striking for striking, and go back to my preview show, striking for striking, you're not. Sean is arguably, and I've said it from a T, Sean O'Malley, Sugar Sean is arguably the best overall striker at bantamweight. Now, Petrion, now when you want to talk about, if you want to break down the specifics of striking, you know, Petrion is the best pure boxer. But striking wise, we added Muay Thai, regular boxing, kickboxing. Sugar Sean overall is arguably the best. And I say arguably because you got to put Petrion in there too. Petrion has a nice Muay Thai base. So between him and Sugar Sean, now Sugar Sean is a little bit more technical than Petrion when it comes to the kickboxing and the Muay Thai aspect of it. But I mean, it's like I said, it's up for debate, because Petrion is hands down the best pure boxer, but Sean O'Malley is right there with the boxing wise, but he's not. Sean is not a pure boxer base, you know. So Song Yadong, he had a couple moments in there, but Sean was just too quick for him. There was a couple changes inside and outside, especially when Sean was pumping that jab. And then I love the little T kick Sean was giving Song to the body. Song was just a step below in the striking department, and he couldn't really he couldn't really get his rhythm on point, especially when his footwork, because Sean's footwork is one of the best at that too. That's what it's like. It's hand to hand with his striking ability and his technical IQ and his footwork, and it comes to one, and that's what you get, a beautiful product in Sugar Sean O'Malley striking. And Song Yadong was just a step below. Song, he had success when he was grappling, and I don't know why this nigga Sugar wanted to jump the gilly. Shout out to Dustin Poirier. Don't be silly, jump the gilly type shit. I don't know why Sean tried to jump the gilly, and you know, he should have just, tell you the truth, he should have just used that as a disguise base to try to get back up. If you know, like for me personally, if I know I'm not a jiu-jitsu practitioner like that, and my bottom game is not that great, I would try to disguise some submissions like a triangle, arm triangle, or a gilly, just as a base for me to set up for me getting up. So that's why I feel like Sean should have did, instead of, because for a minute he tried to choke him out with the gilly. I'm like, nah, that ain't gonna work. But overall, this fight really came down to how you scored the first round. Because the second round was definitely Song Yadong with the takedowns, and he was able to control Sean. And he had a couple, I think he had the significant strikes. He either had a little bit more, or it was like right there in close in range. So with that, and then the grappling department, he was able to take Sean down and control him some. Song Yadong definitely won the second round. Then third round was all Sugar Sean O'Malley. All Sugar Sean O'Malley. Song tried to shoot in a couple times. Sean defended the well, and he was piecing Song head off. So that third round was definitely Sean. So that it all came down in the first round. And when I heard him say unanimous, because the only way I felt like Song Yadong was going to win if the decision was a split. If it was a split decision, then I felt like Song Yadong was going to win. But when they say unanimous, I'm like, yeah, Sean won, because they gave him the first round. But Sugar Sean O'Malley is back, y'all. But at the same time, even though I am happy that Sugar Show is back, because he really needed this win to get back in title conversation. And we gonna talk about it more on Monday if I got service. Because like I said at the top of the video, we might have some power outage. Depending on how thick and big the snow is, we might have some power outage because the shit is supposed to turn into ice. But Monday recap, weekend recap video, we're going to talk about Merab and Patreon somewhat, because apparently the trilogy, it's a go. It's a green light. So whether or not Sean, and like I said, we're going to talk about it more on Monday, but whether or not Sean get the next shot, he might got to fight Umar, but regardless, him beating Song Yadong put him right back in title conversation. Now, what I will say is coming off the Merab fights, then, you know, coming off this fight right here, what we seen with the grappling, it's still an issue for Sean. Sugar Sean would definitely lose to a nigga who grappling is just so far high level, which is, you know, we're gonna talk about Umar later on, because I feel like Umar probably had his worst performance up to date, to be quite honest, in my personal opinion. But Umar is definitely gonna beat Sugar Sean. If they match up, Umar is definitely beating Sugar Sean, because the grappling, and I feel like it's kind of like the Conor McGregor effect, where it's like you can only do so much with the takedown defense, but it, you know, at this point it is what it is. You gotta just expect. And hold on, to backtrack a little bit, it's crazy to think, because the grappling is an issue for Sean, right? But the way he was able to defend the takedowns from Aljo and pull counter him like crazy, it's mind-boggling to me that he was able to beat Aljo. But now we get into the other type grappler fighters, and he's starting to struggle. Now Song Yadong was getting pieced up in this fight to the point where he had to grapple. Like, Song Yadong, he can grapple somewhat, but he's not a grapple-based fighter. But if he had to, he had to. And Sean was piecing him up to the point where he had to. But it's still, overall, big picture-wise, it's still an issue for Sean. So he's going to get beat by Merab again if they ever fought for a third time. He's definitely going to get beat by Umar. Patreon is his best stylistic matchup. And that's if Patreon don't choose to fucking grapple. Because Patreon can grapple if you want to. But, yeah, the Sugar Show is back. We back on the road. We're going to see where it go from here. We're going to talk about it more on the weekend recap on Monday. So Waldo, Cortez, Acosta, and D-Lu. This was, you want to talk about a striking performance. This was a striking performance. I never seen, from the first fight with the hooks and the jabs, and the second fight with the jab, like, D-Lu really got, I want to know how powerful Cortez, Waldo, Acosta jabs are, because he was just pumping them out, and it was just so damn powerful. It was like a stiff fucking jab. Like, I never seen D-Lu, and the kicks, you know, the leg kicks, it had some effect to it too, but I never seen D-Lu get sit down by a stiff jab before, which is crazy to think, like, the power in Waldo's hands. Like, this nigga really got, I mean, we should all know, but D-Lu, like, out of all niggas, D-Lu, he sat down D-Lu like that, bruh. Like, this ain't no fucking, even though that fight was, you know, they ain't really do nothing because they respected each other too fucking much. But the Francis got power. You know, DC smoked D-Lu, but DC ain't really got power like that sat down D-Lu. So it's kind of like, it almost reminds me of like the Ilya and Charlie Olives fight. Like, I never seen Charlie Olives get knocked out cold like that, because we seen Charlie Olives get TKO'd and submitted, but we never seen him get knocked the fuck out completely, where it's just lights out. This is probably the first time I've seen D-Lu get sit down by a stiff jab like that. Like, I never seen anybody do D-Lu like that. Like, we seen D-Lu get beat before. DC beat him. We seen, you know, even though he came back against Volkov was outclassing D-Lu. So we seen D-Lu get beat before, and we seen him get stopped. But like this, and as much as I love D-Lu, it was nice to see Waldo get this win, because this what I've been saying like this whole time, which is, I gotta go back to my preview to say what I actually said, because I think this like, I think I said this like the most 50-50-ish fight. And I did say I'm picking D-Lu, but I wanted Waldo to win because we finally getting some new blood at heavyweight. Yeah, I did say that in the preview, because I talked about Tom Aspinall's teammate and then Walter Walker. We finally getting some new blood at heavyweight, and that is perfect. That we need new blood at heavyweight, and Waldo is finally stepping up to the plate, getting through some of the, and we all fuck with D-Lu. We all fuck with D-Lu, but D-Lu is, at this point, he's a fan favorite gatekeeper. So it was nice to see, you know, Waldo get the dub, because sometimes it's kind of like with gatekeepers, in majority of, at least about 8 out of 10 gatekeepers are fan favorites. But even though that we all fuck with them and, you know, we respect the hell out of them, you know that they're not championship material. And Waldo seems like he's heading into the trajectory of potentially challenging Suga and Tom Aspinall and Jailton Almeida and the rest of these, and Alexander Volkov, and you know what I mean. So it was nice to see Waldo get this win, because heavyweight is in desperate need of some new fresh fighters. You know, a new generation crop of heavyweights. You can already say, well, Tom Aspinall, Suga is there, but that's pretty much it for real. You got Jailton Almeida, yeah, but we talking about like 2025, 2026 type new freshies, new fresh crop of fighters. But yeah, shout out to Waldo Costa, Natalia Silva, and Thug Rose. Man, Thug Rose, if Thug Rose could have stopped some of these takedowns, she low key could have stole this fight away. But it really came down to just Natalia just taking her down and controlling her. Like, striking wise, actually this fight turned out to what I thought it'd be. Like, I feel like striking wise, Natalia did keep up, but Thug Rose was a little bit better. But Natalia is just a faster version of her. You know, she's just a smaller, faster version of Thug Rose. And really, that's all this fight came down to, was Thug Rose couldn't really stop the takedowns, and she just got controlled. But this is actually perfect for Natalia. Now, Thug Rose, we will talk about her more on the weekend recap on Monday, but where do we go from here? Do she need to retire? I mean, because let's be honest, Thug Rose can retire right now and she'll still be one of the greats of women's MMA. So it's kind of like, it ain't like her career is like she should be ashamed of her career. She's been a champion. But objectively speaking, where do we go from here? You know, we can't fuck with strawweight. Now we in Valentina's weight class, and we can't get into that conversation where we can, you know what I mean? But Natalia Silva, same thing with the heavyweights. Natalia Silva went through an OG and Thug Rose, so now she's one of the fresh new crop of fighters for this generation, and now she's pushing up in the rankings with like Macy Barber and Aaron Blanchfield, you know. So shout out to Natalia Silva. Now on to the opening fight with Gene Silva and Arnold Allen. Now this is where I gotta eat some more crow, because I didn't expect. I thought that Gene Silva needed to get Arnold out of here in the first round, if not second round. Gene Silva cardio actually held up. Now, I will say this. There are some concerns with Gene Silva that I'm like, he has to clean this shit up, because when you face somebody like Leron Murphy or Masa Evloev, and we've seen what Diego Lopez did to him, he's going to get beat again. You know, he's still the same problems. Now, granted, Arnold Allen didn't want to grapple, he wanted to strike. And at first, Arnold Allen had some success, but Gene Silva, I think what changed the complexity of this fight is the power shots. Going back to the Max and Dustin fight, it's like every time Arnold tried to get something going, which he did, Gene Silva and his power shots stunned Arnold Allen's offense. So that's probably what killed Arnold Allen in this fight, is just Gene Silva just have too much power for him. You know, on a technical scale, they was pretty much evenly matched. Like both of them did really good with their inside boxing, outside boxing, distant range kickboxing. Nice level changes from both of them, but it really just came down to the power shots. Gene Silva had more power shots that actually hurt Arnold Allen, and Gene Silva took some back, but they really didn't affect him that much. But we're gonna talk about more on that on the weekend recap. A lot of the shit we're gonna talk about a little bit more on the weekend recap, but Gene Silva, it was sloppy. He has to clean this shit up. I would suggest Gene to do like what Mauricio Rufy did and just go outside the camp and look elsewhere. Not like leave the camp, because we seen and heard what Mauricio said, where there is no bad blood. He's still cool with them. He's still in contact with them, but there's some other aspects into his game where he want to polish, so he's seeking elsewhere for outside help. That's what Gene Silva need to do. Gene Silva needs to like stay in the clique, but just go branch off somewhere to improve on your craft some, because these niggas, it seems like they just straight Muay Thai and kickboxers. And I'm telling you, now he got away with the shit with Arnold Allen because he was a little bit fat. He was faster than Arnold, and he had more power than Arnold. But I'm telling you, when you face like Leron, or even like Yair Rodriguez, that would be an interesting fight. Yair and Gene Silva would be an interesting fight. But even with Yair, it's kind of like, hold on, watching this, watching that truck go by. But yeah, even with like Yair Rodriguez, I feel like Yair would be Gene Silva. Gene Silva got some shit that he got to clean up. And cause I'm gonna be honest, I got high expectations for Gene Silva. I still think Gene Silva could be one of the main threats after Volk is gone and retired. Whenever that is, Gene Silva is gonna be a huge threat at featherweight, and that's, you know, to anybody. Leron, Masa Evloev, and even my boy Diego Lopez. But Gene Silva, he's not a polished fighter, and there's a lot of holes in his game where I feel like with the right stylistic matchup, honestly, what I just said with Mofsard and them boys, they're gonna beat him. Diego Lopez might beat him again. You know, I feel like within like another year and a half, Gene Silva will be able to beat Diego Lopez. But currently, as we sit, if they was to fight let's just say hypothetically Gene Silva gets the next title shot and Diego Lopez do beat Volk, right? So Diego Lopez, Gene Silva too. At this current moment, Diego Lopez beating Gene Silva again. So that's why I'm saying give it another year and a half, maybe 2, for Gene to keep improving on his overall game, and he'll get there. But yeah, man, the dogs is out, as DMX would say, the dogs is out. So with that, y'all already know we gotta talk about Umar and Deiveson Figueiredo. Umar did, I'ma just say this, Umar did what he had to do to win this fight. He had some nice striking. Obviously the takedowns, you already know with the Umar fight, he's going to take your ass down. But Deiveson, he did not look bad. He actually looked better than what I thought. And that's on Umar. Because Deiveson, I feel like Deiveson Figueiredo, my boy Figgy, he is not in his prime no more. I feel like with the right matchup, you can still see flashes of Deiveson. But Deiveson, he's not in his prime form no more. Like, I think we've seen the best of Deiveson. And Umar, I expected more. I definitely expected more. Like, obviously, Umar, he's going to do his thing with his dynamic kickboxing. He's going to do his thing with the takedowns. But he really didn't dominate Deiveson on the ground like I thought he would. You know, it was... Yes, he did what he needed to do to win the fight, but it's like Umar really... I didn't see nothing that was too special about Umar to the point where I'm like, okay, now this is the nigga that Merab gotta look out for. I still think stylistically that Umar can still match up well with Merab, but based off this fight, it's like, nah, like Merab, if they was to fight right now, going back to that logic, you know, with Diego Lopez and Gene Silva, if they would have fought right now, Merab would still beat Umar. So, Umar is still a beast, but I expected better. So, we actually want to see where it goes from here. Because if you really think about it, on some popularity contests and the performances of their fight tonight, you will honestly say Suga Sean going to get the next crack, but I think they're going to fight each other. But, yeah, man, this, hey, 324, it was a good card. Good card. Not, this card, it wasn't one of the best cards that I've seen in history, or like, you know, like if we put it on an all-time scale. But for the opener of the 2026 calendar year for the UFC, this was fantastic. This was fantastic. So, yeah, man. Shout out to Gaethje. Just like, you know, Volk, Alex Pereira, Marty Usman, Justin Gaethje, he's showing niggas like the OGs, they still got some left in the tank. So, yeah, man, this concludes the UFC 324 review. Yeah, till my next video on Monday. Hopefully Monday. I'm gonna go ahead and skedaddle, man.